Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I have Michelle Lopez, Michelle Lightbearer of Sacred Earth, as my special guest for today. And we are going to talk about something really deep. It's going to be talking about what she does and about her awakening, about what is doing to help children with children's yoga. So, a lot of different, things that are deep, but integrative and holistic. So, like my first question really, Michelle, is, well, actually, before a question, is like, thank you for coming on board and,
You.
for taking the time to, today we're going to, expand further compared to the last one. We're going to expand further into what you do and what you've been doing since your awakening and before that, and what your goals and mission is. So my first question is, Sacred Earth. So you're the founder of Sacred Earth. Tell us more about that and how it got started.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned in the last video, I started learning about Reiki healing for self-healing. And um, once I got into that, I started really kind of getting into crystals and learning about crystals. And
Mm.
so I took a crystal healing class and I just absolutely loved it. The crystals really, I really connect to them and I really, resonate with them. So I brought them into my practice. And then along with that came, learning about sound healing,
Hmm.
learning about mantra. I back in 2012, I started doing kirtan, singing and chanting, and I started learning about mantra. So that became part of the healing practice. And little by little, I have just added on pieces to it. So the astrology, it wasn't until maybe about a couple years ago where I started feeling confident enough in that to bring it into my practice.
Hmm.
So basically, all these things I've sort of just put together. And so when a client comes to see me, I basically have a package where we look at the astrology chart. I do Reiki crystal healing layouts for the
Hmm.
body, which may include essential oils. It may include sound healing, whatever you know goes with it. So, and then I started bringing in the oracle cards. So these
Oh,
all
Oracle
three,
cards too. Wow, great.
yes.
It's like a
So
whole
sessions
complete.
are usually about sessions usually about an hour and a half. So I usually bring these three main modalities together, and what happens is I get a picture of what the client's needs are and what they're working with.
Hmm.
And so my role is mostly that of a facilitator, a coach, a teacher, a guide. When it
Hmm.
comes right down to it, the client has to be ready to do their own self-healing work. So
That's
I'm
true.
there, because I'm just there to really hold the space for them, and then allow spirit to work through the space I've created,
Hmm.
so that person can come into a space of healing. And so, you know, nobody can wave a magic wand over you and take away from you what you're dealing with. So, but what the astrology chart does, what doing the energy healing session does, is it helps to create a picture, and so that way we can narrow our focus and focus in
Hmm.
on what needs to be addressed. So,
Yes.
like when they're on the table, they might have a certain chakra that they need
Hmm.
to focus on, and then we see the theme in the chart, in the astrology chart, and we see the theme come up in the oracle card readings. So
Wow.
it gives an area of focus. And
Yes.
so then we can do, prescriptive measures. So, they might need things like, change of diet.
Hmm.
Ayurveda is a part of what I do too. I'm
Yes.
also a holistic health advisor with emphasis in Ayurveda. So it's not a prescription. I don't prescribe. I just give lifestyle recommendations.
Hmm.
Um, and so it could be exercise. It could be changing up the diet,
Hmm.
could be breath work, like yogic breath,
Yes.
yoga. Um, it could be EFT tapping. So any of those modalities. It just depends on really what shows up. I just kind of honor what shows up,
So
and
it's
I
like
just
go with the flow.
go with the flow, and I just put my faith in that the spirit is working through this whole process on levels that are unseen. And so another thing too is the self-empowerment piece. So helping people to become, self-empowered. So it could be things like, self-empowerment practice or ritual. So
Mm-hmm.
ceremony is very much a part of gaining back that self-empowerment. So I might advise them on ways to create that sacred space or create ceremony in order to do that. So there's so many ways it can go depending on what the client's needs are and what level they're at as far as doing the practices, because not everybody comes at different levels.
Mm-hmm.
One of the highest levels is revoking soul contracts. So some people might have an understanding of revoking soul contracts. So that right there is very powerful because
Oh yeah.
it has a resonance on a cellular level. So, once you get into that level, it starts to change and things can move more quickly. So it speeds up the process.
Amazing. So it's interesting that we're talking about, how we can change things on a cellular level. And
Uh-huh.
a lot of people don't realize that we do have that power of self-healing, that we can actually visualize and, I don't know if the word manipulate is the right one, but we can rearrange,
Yes.
the cellular DNA. And I think modern science is already catching up to that in a way, because I know they're talking right now about a lot about epigenetics. I remember
Yes.
when I was going through my own healing process about 6 years ago, when I was hospitalized several times. Like the doctor said, there's just no way they can cure it; it's incurable. Then I just turned to the alternative medicine, did the same type of research that you were doing. Like we were on a similar journey, and I just learned about how to, like what to put in your body. Like
Yes.
the food that we eat is really key. I'm not saying that everybody goes vegan or what this and that, but I think you just learn to be more mindful and grateful,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So when you like, let's wow, there's so many interesting topics we can talk. Definitely,
Mhm.
dive deep on. Um, there's one thing you said something about, like like the Reiki, the energy healing. For some of people who've heard it but don't know really much about it, maybe you can give just like a
Yes.
quick description on how that modality works, and then how it integrates with all the other stuff that you're doing.
Yes. So Reiki is an energy healing that originated in Japan. So it's the word Reiki is a Japanese word, ki meaning energy or life force. In some cultures it's chi, and in other cultures it's prana. So we're just
Mm-hmm.
all basically talking about the same life force.
Yes.
And so when somebody learns Reiki, they go through a Reiki attunement by a Reiki master. So that's something I also do, is Reiki
Mm-hmm.
attunements and in classes. And so once you've had the Reiki attunement, the first stage is for self-healing. Second is for healing others, and then up to the mastership level. But basically, you are using yourself as a conduit for the Reiki energy to flow to a person. So when people are in crisis, or when they're healing emotional trauma or physical health issues, they are in need of energy. They are in need of having enough space around them that's going to allow them to heal. Because when we are in this very contracted down space, there
Mm-hmm.
is very little room for energy to come in and heal the body. And this is why people, they get sick, and they can become very ill. So Reiki is a way of providing energy to that person. So it's just tapping into the source field, the source of energy
Mm-hmm.
around us. It's abundant and readily available. What makes us not available, make it not available to us, is that we are not in alignment with that. So
That's such a key point that you're talking about, because with energy, a lot of people think they don't have the energy, but it's just because there's the blockages, right? And they're not
exactly.
able to receive it. So what Reiki energy healing does, and what you do, is like you help, um, kind of like, is the right word, just correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
like, is it like removing the blockages or helping the person do it himself to 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 be able
Yes,
to receive?
both.
Oh, both.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So once you've been through a Reiki attunement, you are able to use your hands to heal
Hmm.
self. So
Yeah.
at the basic level, you become more of a conduit. So you're opening up to that flow. It's just the attunement is saying yes. I say
Yeah.
yes to this, and then it's given to you as a sacred
Hmm.
practice, sacred ceremony. So yeah, so if people are open to this, that's definitely a good place to start, just for self healing, and it brings protection too. So
Hmm.
you can reiki your food, you can transmute the
Yes.
energy of your food. So yes, we have GMOs and chemtrails and all these things in our environment, and we definitely need to be aware of these things.
Hmm.
But we also have to know that we're more powerful than we realize, and that we can,
Right.
through our own consciousness, through our own thoughts and choices of what we choose to think
Hmm.
about, we can change these things. We can
So,
transmute the energy.
yes, become your own alchemist. I love that because, like, there's many different things going on right now where people get confused. Where it's like, okay, oh, I just have to eat 100% organic, and this I have to be vegan, this and that. And what it does, it creates like unconscious blockages as well, because they think that the food, whatever is presented to them, is not the right form. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful that you're saying that, yes, transportation is like part of my regular thing that that I'm cognizant of, is like whenever somebody offers me food or I have something to eat, it's the, like you said, the power of the hands, and you transmute that, and
Yes.
you offer thanks for it, and the life force that is being used to help you. So from your own personal standpoint, when it comes to the nutrition, into your practice, what is there something in particular that you tell your clients, like about eating, the right way, or like putting the right food in their bodies? Like what where do you start with them?
Well, since I have an emphasis in Ayurveda, so
Yes.
sometimes diet isn't as simple as just eating, eating restrictive calories, or
Hmm.
eating some. I happen to be vegan, but it's not necessarily just that. What
Yes.
some people are doing keto diets and that kind of thing, but it really more is about the body chemistry and the
Hmm.
the elements in the body. So in Ayurveda, which is an ancient holistic approach to eating and to
Hmm.
connecting with plants and food as
Yeah.
medicine. Um, there's three basic body elements. So
Hmm.
of the kapha, pitta, and vata doshas.
Yes.
So right away you can look at a person and see that maybe they have more of the kapha element, or the pitta element.
Hmm.
And so, you can have these conversations about what foods might best suit their situation, um,
Yes.
or at least point them in the right direction
Hmm.
towards, certain herbs, or, maybe they need to go and see an Ayurvedic doctor. So that's where I would be able to advise people. But some of the things are so basic, like every morning when
Yes.
you wake up, you drink a cup of warm water.
Hmm.
Start your day with warm water, because
Yes.
you're cleaning out your system, and you're increasing your digestion
Hmm.
by doing that. So if some people could start a daily practice of doing that, it would go a very long way towards healing the gut health. So just very simple things like that
Yes.
that
That's so
people just don't know about.
so
Yeah,
true.
yeah, like ice cold drinks with ice and carbonation in them are not very healthy for our digestion, and we tend to eat those with almost every meal.
That's
So
true. Like we go to a restaurant here, anywhere you go, like, like it's like they serve you ice water, and like for, most people, like that's what they do, and they don't realize that it's why, it's affecting their metabolism, affecting their gut.
that's right.
So that's a great tip. That
That's
is a
right.
definitely great tip. First thing in the morning, warm water. Uh, like for me personally, I add some lemon to it, or sometimes
Yes, with
apple cider.
lemon, even better.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
apple cider vinegar. Some people have been using that as well. So yes, so just little things that that can make a big difference in the body. And it's great that we're talking about Ayurveda. It's like I had been presented with many different Ayurvedic medicine, herbs, and all that. And maybe we can expand just a little bit more, because I think a lot of people are interested, the ones especially in my podcast here, they'd like to learn more about about the nutrition aspect. And like, so with Ayurveda, you thought about, there's the three doshas. Was it three? Okay.
Yes, doshas,
Yeah.
which is your constitution.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just give a three, like a basic intro,
Yeah.
because it would be very helpful for us.
Yes. So first, there's the kapha dosha, which is tends to be cold, heavy, and oily. So this is important for like our the lubrication of our body tissues.
Yes.
Okay. And so people who are prominent in this dosha have good endurance, and they tend to have kind of like more softer skin, but they tend towards heaviness in the body. So they have to eat lighter foods, drier foods, not so much the creamy, heavy stuff. Then you have like pitta dosha, which is the fire element in the body. It's it's hot and it's wet, and so those people need more sweet taste. They need to cool down the heat in their body, and this gets in the mind too. So it's not just the body, but you can be quite fiery in your mind. It can create, anger if it's out of balance, and so there's that. But people with that dosha are very they're very direct. They know what they want. They can go. They're very action oriented. And then there's the Vata dosha, or Vata. Some people they pronounce it Vata. So this is more the dry air element. Okay, so it's about the space and air, and people with this tend towards dryness. But each one of these elements has an important function in the body, and we have all three of them. It's just that some people have more of it than others.
Yes.
Right. So if you have more of it, then you have to bring it back into balance, because you have to be aware of imbalance. So I'm a pitta kapha. So that's the fire, and then also the cooler elements. So like I have to have a fresh green salad every day, to stay in balance. And if I veer away from my good practices, I definitely see the repercussions of it. So so it's something I always have to be aware of. But especially like seasonally too. So like seasonally, you don't want to be loading up on alcohol and chips and salsa in the summer, which people often do, and it's fun. But you know what I'm saying? It can really get you way out of balance sitting in the sun, So you can see how that can really aggravate situation.
Yes, our body, our body is such a complex system, and we tend to forget that, and we just sometimes take it for granted. So it's important to be really mindful now, and it's great that you're doing that in your area there and helping the people. But what you do is like incorporates a lot of other things. You are also in your teaching, what really struck me in the last interview was like that you like to teach the younger children about about yoga and about breathing and that. And please tell us how this is going for you, and what your goal is and your mission is. And because I think this is very important when we start with the young, with the young minds, and that are still forming and just learning about things. I think it's great that what you're doing. So please tell us more about this exciting thing that you do with the school.
Okay. Well, my work has this. I have this dual path going on. I'm also a school teacher. So I teach second grade, and this is purely secular work, separate from what I do. But there is a thread that runs through everything that I'm doing. And so right now my focus is on social emotional learning and mindfulness practices in the classroom. I'm a certified yoga instructor. I teach children. So I teach after school yoga at my school that I teach at, and I teach here in our community. I have a community class. Um, but in the classroom, I really, about 4 years ago, I started really ramping up my practice of mindfulness in the classroom, social emotional learning. And so I created this program called the Heart-Centered Classroom. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, the way I see it is as a foundational framework that eventually my goal is to train other teachers, which I'm getting ready to do right now. So I've
Awesome.
been practicing it myself, just developing it, practicing it. And basically what it
Mm-hmm.
includes is 4 components. And I modeled this after the 4-chambered heart. So, and 4 is a foundational number. So the first part of it is stillness practice. So learning how to be still within the body, to create, calm and relaxation, mindfulness, doing things with mindful intention, choosing words that are mindful, engaging the senses to bring more awareness. Creativity. So we don't lose our creativity. We're in this age of technology, and the kids are spending a lot more time on computers. We can't lose the creative spark,
Mm-hmm.
because that is the uniqueness of the child, that whatever we bring in our creativity, no matter how you judge it,
Yes.
creativity isn't good or bad, it just is. It's an important thing to maintain. And then the last piece of it is cohesion. So cohesion practices in the classroom, where we are learning how to work together as a community, and we are sharing the vision for the classroom together. So, and then we do mindful yoga stretching. So that's kind of like at the heart of it all. So
That's great.
yeah.
Like what's the response so far? Ling, what have you seen in terms of how the children are responding, not just responding, but also I guess how they're performing in school? Like what have you seen?
Well, children are naturals when it comes to this, because they naturally gravitate towards what feels good. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so it's joy. I believe joy is our natural state. And
Yes.
so when we start, moving into certain situations, we come out of alignment with that joy state. And then a lot of it's because we want to, we're driven to succeed. We
Mm-hmm.
want to do well. So, but that brings anxiety. So
Yes.
they just naturally, from the get-go, are interested in this kind of thing. They love doing yoga stretches. They absolutely
Great.
love that. Um, and then, but the stillness practice is something that you have to build and teach them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And some right away get into it, and others take much longer. But once they experience what it's like to focus your attention and become very still, they start to see the value in it. And so a lot of times after we do our little morning, moment of stillness,
Yes.
or after lunch we do
Mm-hmm.
a longer practice of stillness, they will say things like, wow, I feel better. I feel different. Everything looks different. I've heard that so many times.
Mm-hmm.
Everything looks different. So it gives you like these major shifts in just perspective. So then when it's time for us to do our schoolwork, we're
Mm-hmm.
ready. We've had that drink of water, which I compare it to a drink of water.
Mm-hmm.
We've had that refreshment, and then there's all that nervousness goes away. So, but at the core of this work, because it's very multi-layered and there's many components of it that
Mm-hmm.
work together. At the core of it is helping children to be their most authentic version of themselves. Because when children feel seen and they feel like they're accepted and loved,
Mm-hmm.
they relax and calm down, and the mask sort of comes down. And then we can,
Yeah.
now that we're being real with each other, now we can make progress. Now we can do our learning, because we're not afraid. We're not
Yes.
afraid to take that risk. We're not afraid to make a mistake. It's okay. So,
It's incredible because like kids nowadays, they've done studies. I mean, there's so many kids that are already on some sort of medication, to help them calm down,
yeah.
and that's unheard of. and it bothers me as well because we're one overstimulating the kids now with all the technology. That's the
Yeah.
thing, but we're also putting so much pressure on them that they have to put on that mask. And
Yes.
it's beautiful that that's what you're doing, because it's just not right that kids have to grow up that way,
Yeah.
wherein they can't be their real authentic self. So how many years have you been doing this yoga thing in school?
The program,
Yeah, program.
I started it about 4 years ago. And I've been just using my classroom as the sort of test
Test.
test of it, and seeing what kind of results I personally would get, uh,
Hmm.
and just trying different things and seeing what works, what I
Yeah.
think works. So, and then doing some research,
Hmm.
just sort of along the way. So, yeah, medication should be the last resort for adults and children.
Yes.
There are so many other things we can try, and I'm not saying there is a place for it. I'm not saying
Yes.
there's not. There is a
Absolutely.
place for Western medicine, but it should be a last resort.
Hmm.
And so, if we can try these things as the first level of intervention for
Hmm.
our students, that would be super powerful.
Hmm.
And so teachers can learn to do this. You don't have to have special training. My goal is eventually that teachers would become certified
Hmm.
as a trainer or as a teacher of this, so they could use it in their own classrooms.
Yeah.
Um, so it's very simple practices, and what makes them work is the
Hmm.
consistency. And teachers
Consistency.
probably, yeah, teachers should have the practice themselves, because you don't really know until you try it, kind of thing.
That's that
You don't know
that
the
is
benefits.
true.
Yeah. So, but I just think what I've noticed, it just brings more joy. Situations, we can turn a situation around very quickly where there's, unhappiness or frowns in the
Hmm.
classroom, to smiles and laughter. So every day is not perfect. And I struggle just like the next person, even though I'm doing
Hmm.
these practices.
Yes.
There are days where, we had a lot of rain a few weeks ago, and they are challenging.
Hmm.
So, but at
That,
least I know that, okay, after lunch, we're going to get this little reset. We're going to have our reset, and it makes a big difference.
that's incredible, because like I've been reading about many in other parts of the world where they're introducing this, like this meditation to the classroom, and it's really helped the not just the children, but the whole school atmosphere itself.
Absolutely. There's a ripple effect out
Hmm.
into the whole school. So you
Yeah.
can imagine the power of, if a whole school gets involved, or a whole school district,
Hmm.
the power of that, and sure, there's going to be some resistance, and there's going to be change is not easy. And it
Yes.
does take time to understand how this
Hmm.
works, because it's not an overnight thing. It takes practice.
Yeah,
It
and I'm sure there's been, like, because when people hear about yoga, there's this misconception about that, and then I'm sure you've had some pushback, from some members in the community, and maybe you can share us about that and how you've been able to kind of like go and rise above that, because I know, like, we have a lot of preconceived fears and illusions about things we don't know about,
Yeah.
and with the yoga and the meditation, like, how did this all, because you've been doing it for 4 years now, so when you first started doing it, like, what was the initial reaction?
Um, Well, honestly, most parents and have been super supportive and
Oh,
encouraging, and
that's great.
absolutely say how much they love it. Like, I've heard that
Okay.
so much from parents. And I'm lucky. The school that I'm at, we have three teachers at my school, including myself, that teach yoga. So, and there's a waiting list to get into the classes. So
Hey.
kids are like really loving this, and parents have been great and
Mhm.
wonderful. There have been a few experiences where there's been some resistance, and all I can say is that this is a purely secular practice. But if you look at all the research to back it, and the science
Mhm.
behind it, and the brain research, because there's a
Yes.
lot of brain research, um, you can see that this is kind of like, how could you not
Yeah.
see the value or the benefit of this? It's absolutely powerful what it's doing, bringing
Mm-hmm.
calm, um, you know, where it's so needed. It's so necessary. So those parents, I just all I can do is speak, what I think about it, and
Mm-hmm.
know that there are always going to be somebody that is
Mm-hmm.
not in agreement with what you do. There's no way I will ever be able to please everyone, and I'm not
Yes,
going to try.
that's true.
But you know, if we just stick to it, let's just stick to the science of it.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong if you stick to the science of it. There is a science behind this.
That
Um,
the science is there because, like, I think there was this guy that was featured. I think it was, I don't know if it's National Geographic or anything, like this guy Wim Hof. He's the one who swims in the Arctic Ocean. It's like he's through the power of his breathing. It's
yes,
amazing how
yes,
he's able to swim in waters that would kill and freeze someone in under a minute.
yes,
Um, and I've seen a lot of people doing this now. A couple of friends of mine up in Canada, they're doing this. They plunge themselves into this icy bath first
yes,
thing in the morning. And to be honest, I've tried icy showers. It's still something I'm trying to
yes.
get used to, but it just wakes you up. But it's just like working my way through that. But it's great that the science is there, and then when people are presented with the science, yes, it's true. And it's like, okay, and now more and more people are practicing this mindfulness. So it's great that you're doing that in your community, and now that you've got all this holistic things that put together in one basket, you're able to provide your clients with just like a complete approach to their well-being. Uh,
Hmm.
and you said something about like the introducing it to the school district. This program. Yeah, this is your dream. Uh, how is that going?
Well, it's good. We're getting ready. We are having conversations about how to bring more wellness into our schools.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's very positive. My goal, I'm kind of a Pollyanna jumping into this. I kind of sometimes think that everybody readily embraces all the things that I
Mm-hmm.
do, and I've had to realize that no, just take your time
Yeah.
because people have to gain understanding. So, but when I first started this, I was like, yeah, I'm going to take it out to many schools. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
find a way. So, but I realized, you got to start with your own community. And so, breaking ground is not easy.
Yes.
And so, yes, we're having the conversations, and this is a good thing. Many other school districts have really taken to the concepts of wellness. They have, wellness places where students can go to
Mm-hmm.
have quiet, programs for teachers.
Yeah.
So it's catching on, and people are starting to understand just like the social emotional piece that it's super important. There's a whole kind of a movement of kindness. It's sort of
Yes.
booming right now, but it's still like feels like we're still looking in the doorway. Like there's so much more we can be doing,
Mm-hmm.
we can't approach it from a head level. It has to be approached from a heart level. I do believe that because in order for something to really take root, it has to, and that's kind of what I base this program on is the meeting of the mind and the heart.
Yes.
So bringing the heart into schools. Otherwise you're just it's like a computer with
Mm-hmm.
no soul.
That's
It's
true.
like bringing the soul back into learning. And
Mm-hmm.
for me as a teacher, it has helped me, love teaching again. And not that I loved it before, but it helped me gain strength and overcome the challenges because you have this other part now that feels good, that feels joyful. I really think this is super powerful and can bring back joy into the classroom.
That's
So
gr- that's incredible. So with what you're doing at Sacred Earth and what you're doing at school, they're actually like working together.
it's all about
Yeah.
the common thread is self-empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
and moving into authentic expression. That's the bottom line. But there's
Yeah.
a common thread between the two.
Yes.
Um, so
And
Yeah.
then they, the ones that want to reach you, from people that are going to be that are watching, going to be watching this and listening to this, they can find you on your Facebook page, which is Sacred Earth, right?
Yes.
Holistic Healing Wellness. Like, how else can they reach you aside from Facebook? Will they, like, do they email you? Do they? Is there some other way? Just that
Yes.
you want them to reach you?
Yeah. I actually have a Facebook page called the Heart Centered Classroom.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Great.
And
Heart-centered classroom. That's beautiful. Yeah.
the Heart Centered Classroom. I have a YouTube, the Heart Centered
Yes,
Classroom
that's
as
right. You have
well.
the YouTube channel. Yes.
Yes. And then I have my email address, michellelightbearer@gmail.com. So,
That Wow, that's great. I mean, we've got a lot of great information that you've shared to us. There's a lot of deep stuff that people can learn from, especially with what you're doing with the yoga and also with the Reiki and the Ayurveda. I mean, there's a lot of very valuable information, and we definitely, I'm sure, that, our listeners would love to hear more. Is there anything else that you would like to? That's coming from your heart that you'd like to share, today before we, sign up for the next segment.
um, coming from the heart. Well, you know, I just have I don't know what else to say, but I just have a great love of, you know, helping people and seeing people succeed in at life. So whether it means, helping people gain better health, better mental state, to connect to a part of themselves that's been lost.
Hmm.
That's what I'm about. And it doesn't really matter, if we can try to divide up our two worlds, but
Hmm.
really it's about all of these sort of blend together. Um, so I just really want to see people succeed. And, my function is really more of leading by example and that of mentor more than anything. And that translates to all areas of life. So if I can be of service, whatever whatever aspect of life I'm moving into, that's what I'm here for.
Oh, that is amazing, and it just warms my heart to to hear that. And I'm so proud that you're a part of this, this movement, of awakening humanity, and also that you're part of the book as well. So everything that you're doing here has already had a ripple effect, because now we've connected, and you've connected with other community, our other communities, and we're going to be sharing what you do, and everyone else we will be doing that as well, because you have a beautiful story, to share, and a lot of wisdom also. And I know we'd love to have more time to talk more about all the beautiful stuff that you're doing, but for now we've got a lot of great information that you've shared with us about Reiki, about children's yoga, meditation, Ayurveda. uh, so yes, so thank you so much for the time today, Michelle. We look forward to having you on again, and you can share more of your sacred wisdom with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, till next time, everybody. Well, Michelle will be back.
Thank you.